Hey guys, today we have Pooja and she is having total 4 year of experience in Java, Spring Boot and microservices. And those who want to give same free mock interview, please fill out the form below in the description. So now let's get started. Hey, hello Pooja, how are you? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm good and I'm excited for this interview.
Okay, nice. So can you please introduce yourself and your recent project in brief, Pooja?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have around 4 years of experience working as a Java microservices developer
Mm-hmm.
with core technologies like Spring Boot. I have Spring Boot, Java 8 plus. Then I have worked with Spring MVC, Postgres SQL. Also, I have managed deployments on Docker and
Mm-hmm.
AWS. So, in the span of 4 years as a Java backend developer, I have worked on multiple projects and multiple domain,
Okay.
especially in the BFSI domain, in the insurance department. So
Mm-hmm.
where I have created multiple REST APIs to fetch the customers' details from the
Okay.
third system, and I
Mm-hmm.
have also worked on building end-to-end claim processing system,
Okay.
such as HOC and FNOL claims,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it about me.
Okay. So Pooja, let's say you have a list of integer and you call
Hmm.
list dot remove one. So does it remove the element at the index one or the integer value one?
So I have list of integer.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you call list dot remove then one inside the brackets.
if it's an integer,
Mm-hmm.
so when we store the value, it's basically it removes based on the index. So
Based on the
uh,
index.
yeah,
Okay. Yes, that's correct. It removes the element at the index one. Because this method basically is called to remove the index when we pass
yeah,
any integer, right?
right.
Right. So can you add a string to a list of object?
Can I add a string to a list of object?
Hmm.
No, it like when we define a list, we already mention what type of
Mm-hmm.
data which the list is holding
So
right
we
now.
define
So
like
if I,
integer, string, and we can also define
yeah, list,
object inside list, right? So can we
yeah.
insert a string then?
No, we cannot insert the string then.
Okay. So actually, yes, we can add a string to a list of object
Okay.
because object string is a object. Object is a parent class of
Mhm.
string or integer or anything, right?
Okay.
So that's why we could add. Okay.
All
So what's the
right.
difference between int and integer?
So int is a data type, whereas
Mm-hmm.
is integer it's a wrapper class.
Okay.
So this integer wrapper class, they basically contains a lot of inbuilt functions
Mm-hmm.
that is through which we can perform operations
Mm-hmm.
um, on the given value. So integer is basically the object,
Mm-hmm.
and int is the data type.
Okay.
So
Yep. Got it. Let's say you have two integers a and b.
mhm,
A is equal to 127 and integer b is equal to 127.
mhm.
If you do a is equal to b, will it return true or false?
It will return true because the int data it gets stored in the stack memory.
Okay.
So therein you are just checking the value. So
Uh,
in that scenario, you will get the answer as true for the
and
integer.
if there are two integers c and d, both has 128. Like integer c is equal to 128, integer d is equal to 128. Now you will d c is equal to d. Will it print true or false?
C equals to
D.
D. So we are using integer wrapper class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in case of integer wrapper class, it's not primitive data then. So I'm not sure about it.
It will return false. For 127, it will return true, but for 128, it will return false. The first comparison prints true because values between minus 128 and 127 are cached.
7
Okay?
equals to 128.
Yeah. Minus 128
Okay.
to 127,
Hmm.
these values are cached. So when we do integer a is equal to b, the true will be returned.
Hmm.
But since in the
Okay.
second case we did integer c is equal to 128 and d is equal to 128. These
Hmm.
128 is out of range, not in a
Hmm.
cached value. So this will return false because double equal
Okay.
check the reference, right?
Hmm.
not the
Correct.
content. Correct? And these 128,
Correct.
128 have the different references because these values are not in a cache.
Okay.
Hey guys, I want to share something important with you. Actually, Pooja prepared from our interview preparation kit and cracked multiple interviews. We have also referred him to the multiple companies. So let me tell you, this interview preparation kit has four main parts. First is complete interview preparation material. It is a step-by-step material made by me, experts and MNCs interviewers. 99% of the questions asked in interviews are covered in it. Second is two real enterprise client projects. Code and video recorded sessions are there, and you can add this in your resume. Third is lifetime chat support. Here you can ask your doubts anytime. Fourth is referral support. Here we help you to get referred to the top MNCs. So basically the material is organized as per your experience level and covers Java, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Data JPA, microservices, Kafka, Maven, Git coding questions, Stream API coding questions, and many more. You can buy just the complete interview preparation material or the full kit with project supports and referrals. I have added the links in the description below. So now moving to our interview. Okay. Can you explain enum in Java?
Yeah, so enum is Java, in Java is basically used when we want to store constant like
Mm-hmm.
datas.
Okay.
So it's like when you use enum, you are already defining it like it's a fixed set of constants. So in our project, I have used it for status. So
Mm-hmm.
processed, not processed, failed,
Mm-hmm.
success. So you
Okay.
can just directly fetch it by specifying the enum class name dot
Mm-hmm.
and then whatever constant you want to fetch from that class.
Got it. Got it. Can you tell me, can a constructor be private?
Can a constructor
Be
be private?
private?
Yeah. So usually when you
Give a use
create a constructor,
case.
uh, see it can be it is usually made private only
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want the prevention of the object from the
Okay.
outside the world like
Mm-hmm.
outside the class. So mostly in the singleton pattern we do use it. Where only we want only one instance of the class to be created, uh,
Mm-hmm.
especially if we are storing configuration details in that particular singleton.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. Okay, so let's say you have a method that accepts a collection number, the generic one, collection, then inside number.
Hmm.
A colleague tries
Okay.
to pass the list of integer but gets a compilation error. So what would be the reason?
So you have a method that accepts collection and get a compilation error.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the reason one I can think of is that it could
Because
be
generics are
because
invariant.
hmm,
List of integer
mm,
is not a subtype of collection number, collection of number, right?
right.
Right. Okay, so Pooja, let's say your application reads a config file at a startup and the values never change.
Hmm.
Multiple threads reads this config. Do we need synchronization here?
So you have a method
Uh-huh.
that is not supposed to change the value, correct? Like the
Uh-huh.
value shouldn't change in that particular method,
Yeah, we are just
and the thread is
reading
trying
the
to read
configuration.
it.
We are not writing uh the in that method or in that file. Just reading. So do we need synchronization here if there are multiple threads?
If there are multiple threads, then we do need like for the reading
I'm
purpose,
sorry.
I think we do need it. For the writing purpose, like if we are associating it with the writing, I don't think so. We require like
Okay.
synchronization until and
So
unless the race
so why do
condition
we
could
need synchronization?
mostly because during a process, there are chances that two threads, there is a race conditions between threads.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want our uh, the configuration, like whatever task it is being performed on, we don't want it to get modified.
Modified.
Uh,
Okay. Means
Yeah.
if two or multiple threads are working, we just make sure the threads, because threads change the values, right? Data
Yeah.
can be corrupted. Okay, so we just
Hmm.
want to make sure the consistency between threads.
Yes.
So that's why we need a synchronization. Okay. uh, when we need synchronization, when some threads are modifying some data. Okay, so it
Okay.
means if in a file we need to change something, if we are writing, if we are changing something, we need synchronization.
Hmm.
But for the read operations, if we are just reading, we don't need synchronization. So that's what my question was, like, in a configuration
For the
file
reading purpose, yeah, we don't need
we don't
synchronization.
need
When we are
synchronization.
associating it with writing, then we do
Writing,
need.
we don't need synchronization. How can we synchronize methods and
Uh,
blocks?
okay, so you want to synchronize the methods and blocks, correct? So
Mm-hmm.
we do have method like wait and join.
Okay.
So and then we also have sleep. So
Okay.
this ensures that like whenever we are working with multiple thread,
Mm-hmm.
so we can try to use this functionality wherein one thread is going to wait until for specific time period in this in the wait. It won't be invoked until and
Mm-hmm.
unless we call the notify or notify all.
Mm-hmm.
And then in case of when more than one or two threads are there, so we can use dot join feature. So
Okay.
one thread won't start the execution until
Mm-hmm.
and unless the other one finishes it.
Okay.
And we can also use the logs. We have reintrent
Mm-hmm.
logs in order to log that particular block of code when one thread is processing that particular
Okay.
piece of.
Okay. So actually, you have shared me the process to create threads and how to work with threads, right? My
Hmm.
question was like how to make a method synchronized. We can
Okay,
use the synchronized keyword, right?
synchronized keyword.
Synchronized
Yeah,
keyword,
synchronized keyword, and then underneath we can uh, add whatever
whatever the things we
the
required.
logic
Okay.
is. Yeah,
Okay.
that is the.
So, have you heard about atomic integers and values?
Yeah, I have heard of atomic
So, atomic
integers.
integers also make sure data wouldn't be corrupted. It also synchronize the methods and values, right? So then, what's the
Yeah.
difference between making the variables atomic and making the method synchronized?
So when we use the atomic integer, so
Mm-hmm.
it is it is thread safe on any
Mm-hmm.
integer. So that we can use without using synchronized or explicitly using the logs like reentrant
Mm-hmm.
log.
Correct.
So
Correct.
so so when so that is why it's useful, like because
Okay.
we don't have to write a particular piece of code for the same. So in
Mm-hmm.
that scenario, we can use the atomic integer.
Okay. Okay, so can you tell me the difference between comparable and comparator? And when,
Yeah.
sorry, which would you use to sort a list of employee by salary?
Okay. So the comparator and comparables, they
Mm-hmm.
both are they both are used for sorting any
Okay.
objects. But one of the key difference is that comparable, it maintains the natural sorting.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, if you have like you want to sort the list of employees based on
Mm-hmm.
their ID, so you can just call the method compare to, and it is going to sort it out for you. But for
Mm-hmm.
comparator, you will have to specifically like you need to give them the sorting order in which you want to sort the values. So just
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned that you want to sort the employees based on the salary, correct? So we can create a separate class with the comparator element, and then we can specify as to which
Mm-hmm.
on what basis we want to use the sorting.
Okay. Okay, so Pooja, do you know the difference between process and a thread?
Yeah. So
Please go ahead.
process. Yeah. So process is basically a task that's being it's like a piece of program that
Mm-hmm.
is being executed,
Okay.
whereas a thread is the smaller unit of that execution in a
Mm-hmm.
process.
Okay. Got it. Moving ahead. Do you know about thread pool?
Thread pool, yeah, I know
Mm-hmm.
about thread pool. So,
Okay.
um, so that basically comes in the executor. Like
Mm-hmm.
we implement it using the executors service.
Okay.
So it's like where in the thread pool we already have already created threads that can be used to execute multiple tasks efficiently. And in my project, I have basically used the executor service. So
Okay.
it does offer me like what type of thread pools I
Mm-hmm.
need for like we have new fixed thread pools. So I can
Mm-hmm.
specify how many threads I want for the same. So in this way, we can reuse our threads
Okay.
and it
Okay.
offers better performance.
Correct. Correct. Let's say you need to process 10,000 tasks and each task is independent.
Hmm.
Okay. You want to limit to 20
Hmm.
concurrent tasks at a time. How would you implement this?
So we have 10,000 tasks
Mm-hmm.
and we want to split it like into
20
20.
concurrent tasks at a time.
Hmm. Okay, so in that scenario, we can use the like we have the um, it's the concurrence, like we need to apply the concurrency here. So in this scenario we are going to use the thread pools, and we are going to like we had have this inbuilt method like new fixed thread pool, and then we can specify there that we need 20 uh, threads for the same. And
Mm-hmm.
then we can use like divide our 10,000, like we can iterate
Yep, yep.
10,000, break it
Mm-hmm.
into 20.
Yep, yep. So we could use executor service with a fixed thread pool of size 20 and submit task as features or completable features, right?
Right.
Correct. Okay. Can you tell me the difference between bean and component annotation?
Yeah. So this bean and component, they both are associated with
Mm-hmm.
in the Spring Boot, and
Okay.
in the bean, like bean is like an object
Mm-hmm.
which is managed by the IOC container.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it is basically created at method level,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to like in the Spring Boot we can define it explicitly
Okay.
when we want more control over
Mm-hmm.
our object creation and
Mm-hmm.
how we are going to use it, and it's normally done in the configuration class. And the component is basically used to automatically register our class as a
Mm-hmm.
Java bean. So when the Spring perform like Spring if you want the Spring to perform the proper component scanning, so for that we need component, and it gets automatically detected if we are using the Spring Boot, because that's a bootstrap of uh,
Correct, correct. Okay, so tell me, how does Spring Boot decide which port to run and how can we change it?
okay. So it's like the server,
Mm-hmm.
like on which server it needs to do the,
Like
so by
it
default.
default is, yeah.
Yeah, default is 8080 because
Mm-hmm.
we have embedded server 8080,
Mm-hmm.
Tomcat server 8080. So by default it goes on 8080, but if we want to change the server port, then we can change it in the application.property file. We can mention server port, and if I
Mm-hmm.
want suppose 9000, server.port equals to 9000, so we can change it there.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me the difference between path variable and request parameter and also give an example of each?
Yeah. So path variable and request parameter, they both are associated with the like when we are working with
Mm-hmm.
URI. So therein we do specify like like where we have for example, if we are having a get user, and if we want 101, like user details on 101, so
Mm-hmm.
therein we need to, that's basically a ID that we need to
Mm-hmm.
give to the controller. So we do it using the path variable, So this is going to fetch the value from the URL path. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and request param is basically when we are applying the filter, like along with the user ID, we are associating name
Mm-hmm.
also. So in
Mm-hmm.
that scenario, we are using request param integer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically for sorting and
Got it.
filtering.
Okay. Okay. So let's say you mark a method at transaction annotation with propagation is equal to requires new, right? You
Hmm.
call it from
Okay.
another transactional method. What happens to the outer transaction?
Okay. So I have marked uh, transaction with
You have marked
propagation
a
of required
method with a
new.
transaction annotation with propagation is equal to requires new.
Hmm.
You call it from another transactional method,
Hmm.
right? What happens to
Okay.
the
Yeah.
outer
Yeah.
transaction?
Yeah. So, like when we, so basically, transaction, when we use the required new, so
Mhm.
required new means that it is going to create a new transaction, and whatever transaction we had in the outer class, it would get suspended, so that the one which we have declared inside the method, so that it can run independently.
Yep, that's correct. Requires new suspends the outer transaction and starts a new independent transaction. The inner transaction can commit even if outer rolls back. Right? Okay. Let's say your REST controller method returns null.
Hmm.
What does the client receive? A 200 with a null body or a 404 or an any other error?
So, like a REST controller is null. So in this scenario,
Means
it's
there is a controller file and there is a method that returns
hmm.
null. Means an API method
So
returns null.
it will be empty.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it will be empty, and we can also, like, if we have specified what response entity they should get.
Mm-hmm.
So in that scenario, they could get that particular entity as well. So if we have specified that, if we are returning null, if whatever value we are going to return, it's null. So we have 404, like using response entity dot, like in that we can specify what type of error we want, like what type of HTTP status we want to send to
Okay.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it would be just blank null body
Yeah, yeah,
set.
null body. If we don't specify it, it will be 200 with null, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So let's say your Spring Boot application need different DB URLs for dev, for staging, for prod. A teammate hard-coded the prod URL in the application properties and committed it. So how would you fix this properly?
So we have profile annotation for the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in the profile annotation, we can mention what type of environment we want our specific
Mm-hmm.
uh, Spring project to work on. And
Mm-hmm.
also we need to make the changes in the application.property file, so
Okay.
wherein we need to specify application dev properties and prod dev properties. And
Mm-hmm.
usually when we want to, like, we cannot hard code the URL in our Spring application. We need to maintain the
Mm-hmm.
singleton pattern, so wherein if we want to add the configurations only in one specific file. So in this scenario, we whatever changes we are associating with URLs or um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so that we need to do in the application dot file. And yeah, we can create different profiles based on our need as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I can create one for application dev, one for production, and then I can specify what type of URL each of them will have.
Okay. Got it. Let's say you need to expose a REST API that accepts a file upload, CSV
Hmm.
file upload, and process 50,000 rows. The HTTP request times out. How would you redesign the flow?
So that's basically a scaling issue, correct?
Scaling issue, it may be, or some other issue can also.
Um, I haven't really thought about it.
Okay. Can we use batch processing? Because 50,000 rows at a time, it will obviously request timeout, something like that. So we could use batch processing.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so what's the
correct.
difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling in microservices?
Yeah. So vertical scaling means if your microservice, like if it needs more like if it's getting more load, like more requests, so for that what we can do is you can scale it physically by increasing the CPU
Okay.
and the RAM size.
Mm-hmm.
But in case of horizontal scaling, um, in the microservices we have the option to create multiple instances of a service. So
Mm-hmm.
if I have a service, that's suppose it is being it needs um, like too much instances than we have in the previous project, so I can scale it independently
Mm-hmm.
in that scenario. So I can create multiple instances. Then then also, like if we have like multiple instances, one of the feature of the microservice is that we have the if we have the API gateway pattern. So what it will do is it is going to like it also works as a load balancer. So it
Okay.
will divide the requests evenly using the round robin strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and that this is how we can scale it
Okay.
horizontally.
Got it. Do you know about idempotent API?
Yeah, so idempotent APIs, they basically change the
Okay.
state of of our um, they change the state of our
Mm-hmm.
request. So if we make the same request multiple times, so there are
Mm-hmm.
chances that it won't really return the same instance on maybe say nth try. So post is such idempotent.
Got it. Let's say your Fiend client has a 5-second timeout. The downstream
Hmm.
service responds in 6 seconds only on Tuesdays due to a batch job. What's the impact and how would you handle it?
So it has 5 second timeout, and the the batch processing it gets
6 seconds. Like the downstream service responds in 6 seconds only on Tuesday. I mean, in every day it responds within a 5 second, but only on Tuesday it responds late
mhm.
in 6 seconds.
Okay.
So, what's the impact and how would you handle it?
So that's basically it will so Fing we already have the read and connection timeout.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to get read timeout exception in this scenario. So what we can do is for the specific like what we can do is we can just increase the timeout uh, to some round figure. So if it's six, it's taking six, so we can take the round figure as
Mm-hmm.
10. Other thing is that we can always go for a synchronous architecture in this scenario.
Okay.
So also,
Okay.
if we have that service is dependent on other service, so we might
Mm-hmm.
get the cascading failure issue. So we can use the circuit breakers and
Mm-hmm.
have a fallback method.
Correct, correct. Let's say there are three services A, B, and C. All are chained
Hmm.
up. C is slow, right? So, what would happen and how would you fix it? Because of C users of A, C high latency.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so both A and C are dependent on like both A and B are dependent on C
Yeah,
in
yeah.
some way.
Yes, yes, yes. Like A
Okay.
is dependent on B and B is dependent on C.
Mhm. So this would like A will wait for B and B will wait for C, and the C will respond slowly. So in this scenario, there would be like our resources would be blocked, the threads, and eventually it may cause issues with our system as well. So what we can do is we can create a timeout
Okay.
for the same, so that our won't system won't be blocked, then we can also have the circuit breaker
Mm-hmm.
for the retry and fallback methods. So if it's slow, C is slow or failing, we can always open the circuit. Um, and in this scenario, B will stop calling the C, and a fallback response will come. And also we can go with the async pattern in the same. So we can quickly release the response if we are using messaging queue or event bus architecture.
Okay, got it. Let's say your team wants to split a user's microservice into
Hmm.
users and auth. Both share the same database currently. How would you plan the split safely?
So we have this like two service, like we have two different service and they have different databases, correct? We are splitting that.
No, no, no. There is a one service users, and we
Hmm.
are going to split the user service into the two. One is user itself, and another is auth,
Hmm.
and both are sharing the same database.
Okay.
Yes,
In this scenario, I do remember we have so
there is a
it's like
pattern.
breaking up. Yeah, there is a pattern. Of like it's like
Have you heard about Strangler pattern?
yeah, Strangler pattern. So
Mm-hmm.
wherein we slowly break our monolithic architecture into
Mm-hmm.
microservices. So yeah, so in the monolithic, our user service, it was very tightly coupled.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do is we can create separate, like we need to create a separate
Mm-hmm.
databases for each service, so that each of them will have their own data, and we can the communication between those services could be the rest or Fing. And yeah, we don't want like in this scenario we cannot maintain same
Mm-hmm.
databases because we are separating the service and we are working with the microservices. So um, that's where we need to
Correct.
slowly change it.
Okay. Okay, so Pucha, yes, it's done from my end, and yes, it was a nice interview.